day that I die. Spring has thawed out the long bitter winter. The water is clear and the skies are blue. I'm standing in the middle of the Beaver Kill River. Might even catch and release one or two. Well, some folks like horses, cats or dogs. Me, I like fishing with a rod and a fly. Yes, fishing is a favorite pastime of mine. If I couldn't do it, I think I would cry. Well, life is good when I'm wading a river. It gets even better when I cast a fly. If I catch a trout, it don't really matter. It's fun just to be here and give it a try. Trout is rising in the far eddy. I make a false cast, then take my aim. If he takes the fly, I feel so much better. And if he doesn't, I'll feel no shame. Stoneflies and caddis and the riffles are plenty. Mayflies courting on fragrant breeze. And cedar wax wings come down from the heaven, wait for their dinner up in the pine trees. The water is cold and my waders leak, and it's raining now on my favorite stream. I'll bear it all, just fish with a feather, so when I sleep I will have a sweet dream. And life is good when I'm wading a river. It gets even better when I cast a fly. If I catch a trout, it don't really matter. It's fun just to be here and give it a try. Oh, ripples and waves, pools and eddies, trout are rising for the mayfly. And the sun is shining down on the valley. Hope to be a fly fishing till the day that I die. Yes, I hope to be a fly fishing till the day that I die.
Now we're going to tie. Now I'm going to tie a little sulfur fly. I'm going to wrap my thread over itself and bring it all the way back. And again, by holding that tag end of the thread at a 45-degree angle, you can wrap pretty fast and have your wrap stay nice and tight. Then when I get down near the end, there's two things you can do. You can save this thread, and I'll show you what we're going to do with the tail with that. I'm also going to be using lemon wood duck for the wings. I'm going to be using some light two of these hackles from a cream colored neck. I'm also going to use some tailing material, and I like this stuff. It makes a real nice tail on these light flies. So now we're ready for the tail. So I'm going to pick out a few of these fibers off of this tailing material. I'm going to cut that, and I'm going to measure that. That should be maybe a little longer than the shank of the hook on this particular fly anyway. Usually it's about the length of the shank, but this fly, they seem to be kind of long tailed. So I'm going to wrap that on there so I have a nice tail. Now with this extra thread that I have here, I'm going to try to pull that up between the tailing material and it helps to split the tailing material so it looks like two tails, because that's normally what these guys have, is a couple of little tails. Now we're going to bring this back to the bend, I'm going to cut that off. Now it's time for some dubbing. And I'm going to put a little wax on my thread. Doesn't take a lot, just a little bit, enough to make it kind of sticky. And then we're going to use our cream or yellowish dubbing fur. And this happens to be a beaver dubbing, which is pretty nice. It floats well, and it's fairly durable. We're going to make our body, and again, this should be kind of thin. It doesn't have to be huge, and I may have a little bit too much on there, but I'm going to wrap it forward. And we're going to get right about up to there. Now, what I like to do with these fibers, these hackles, is I like to clip them off right about in there, and then holding the two together, I'll clip the little individual fibers so that it makes like something to hold on to for when you tie these on. I hate it when they come out. We're going to hold that on there lightly and tie it on. We're going to put the other one on there and wrap it on there. Okay? Now, we're going to take our lemon wood duck and pick one of these out. Looks nice. And what I'm going to do is cut the center hackle out near the top. So we don't want that in there. And we're going to take these, as many as you can, and then clip them off. Okay? Then you have that. And what we're going to do is we're going to spin those so they kind of all go straight. And you want the wings to be about the length of the shaft. So we're going to measure that, pinch it, and I'm going to clip it off right about there. And then I'm going to pinch that on top. Now I'm going to pull the string up between my fingers and then down and then pull up tight. And once you get it started, you'll be fine. Okay? Now I pull that forward. And again, there's other ways. Some people tie these on first and they tie them on facing forward. But I found this method is the fastest for me, and it works well. Now I'm going to put my finger right there. See how they're standing straight? I'm going to put my finger there, and I'm going to try to spread these wings, these fibers, to make two sets of wings. And if I can get it, then I push my finger forward slightly to hold them apart. Okay? And now I simply just bring the thread up and lightly go around the one side, maybe go again. Okay? So now they're separated. Now I'm going to pull this other side forward and go in between there. And this is what they call figure eighting. And we'll try to go through there and make them stand up. Nice. Okay? Now we have nice wings. We're going to wrap up to the front, the head of the fly. Now we're going to take our hackle pliers. We're going to grab one of these feathers and we're going to start winding it forward. Okay? Each loop, each wind should be in front of the others. We're going to go right up to our wings and get as tight to the wings as we can. Then we're going to go in front of the wings and try to use as much of that as we can. Once you get it wrapped on there pretty good, we're going to do a couple of wraps, quick wraps around there to hold that. And we're going to grab the next feather and wrap that forward the same way. Oop. If I can get a hold of it. And we're going to wrap that forward. There we go. Clip some of these fibers that we got out there, and we're going to do some half hitches on there so it doesn't come apart. And there we go. We have a nice little sulfur with split wings. See 'em? Hey folks, Curtis Mayfly here with show number 3. You just learned how to tie the one and only sulfur fly, one of my favorite flies for the Delaware. So I hope you recorded that or learned that. It's also on the website. So go to avcurt at, well, that's my email, avcurt@mac.com, and I'll send you the link for the website if you, or just Google Curtis Mayfly and my website comes right up. Okay, it's the first one right there, so go check it out. I got a fly shop. You can even buy these flies online, so go check that out. Today is another segment of Theo Colburn, what you need to know about fracking. So again, this show's to educate you, and enjoy the show.
So what is fracking? Well, industry has started to use the term stimulation instead of fracking for the operational stage. Wells are fractured in order to increase their productivity. Extremely high levels of pressure are continually maintained down the pipe to pump fluids to various designated depths, and then using the latest state-of-the-art explosives at each perforation in the pipe, it causes what the industry describes as mini earthquakes. In this stage, as much as 1 million gallons or more of fluids are injected under high pressure. In the Marcellus Shale and Barnett Shale areas, called slick water areas, according to estimates coming out of Pennsylvania and New York State, the companies are planning to use 2.5 to 3.4 million gallons of fluid per frac. Fracking technology will differ among various parts of the country depending on how and in what matrix the gas is entrapped. Now this is an artist's simple conception of what fracking looks like. In the top left, you see huge compressor trucks that are used to maintain high pressure throughout the procedure, sometimes as long as 36 hours around the clock. The tanks depict the large volumes of diesel fuel that must be available at all times to keep all of the equipment running once the procedure starts. Notice that the drill rig is gone. To the right, try to picture dozens of fracking tanks which hold the fluids to be injected underground. These are on wheels with lots of fittings for pipes and hoses as large as a train car with vents on top. The tanks also serve as receptacles for the fracking fluids when they come back up to the surface as the compressors shut down and the pressure drops and the procedure comes to an end. Here you see the pipe inserted vertically into the ground, penetrating many geological layers. Here in western Colorado, gas is found at various depths from 4,000 feet to 8,000 feet, and in the San Luis Valley, 10,000 to 12,000 feet. What you see here is vertical fracking, and we show 4 different fractures extending from the pipe every 60 degrees or less. Each one of the vents made from the perforation can extend about 2,000 feet and may only be a couple of inches in height. Now they would extend far out beyond the edge of this picture. We could not do it in our animation with what we had here in our facility. Each frac would be done separately, starting from the bottom up, at different depths at about every 1,000 to 1,500 feet. Now, horizontal drilling involves gradually making the borehole bend after the hole reaches a predetermined depth. Engineers start bending the pipe when they are sure they are below any possible usable water. And out here in the west, that would be at about a depth of 400 feet. The drilling equipment has to be changed at this point as the bend starts. And to complete the bend, so that the bore is finally horizontal, it takes as much as 2,500 feet of pipe. And according to the literature, once the pipe is horizontal, it can then be extended another 2,000 feet or more. Now the advantage of this is that there has to be no equipment above ground from which the gas will be extracted, which could be almost a mile in any direction surrounding the bore hole. During the procedure, numerous chemicals in various combinations are added to the fluids that are injected underground. The chemicals range from biocides, powerful chemicals used to kill bacteria that can live without oxygen, as well as those that need oxygen. Because bacteria can produce acids that eat pipes and fittings and produce a toxic gas, hydrogen sulfide, that smells like rotten eggs and is highly toxic, and because they can alter also the physical characteristics of some of the chemicals in the fluids that they are using. A lot of chemicals are used to make slurries slippery, from surfactants, lubricants, anything to reduce friction, like microfine silica, antioxidants, acids, to foamers and proppants to keep the fracture open after the explosion, polymers, alcohols, and acrylamides, all added to alter the underground strata to allow methane to escape up the pipe. The chemicals are not all added at the same time. They are introduced in stages, very carefully, worked out by engineers who may be thousands of miles away at corporate headquarters. Like drilling, it's a noisy operation with compressors running, lit up at night as if it were daytime, and can go on for 36 hours or more. If you live nearby, you might be able to feel your house jiggle at each explosive event. Large diesel trucks are needed for many purposes, like dump trucks ready to mix in sand. You will see dump trucks and fracking tanks atilt. They need the tanks to hold the fluids for the frac and later collect the fluids that come back up to the surface after compression stops. There are lots of pipes, lots of hoses. With smaller operations, there are 42-gallon drums of chemicals sitting around on backs of trucks with chemicals ready to be mixed into the slurry. Estimates range from about 20% to 80% of the fluids injected underground during fracking are recovered. But so far, we have not been able to find a publication where actual volumes were measured or ingredients analyzed and quantified. The recovered water can be re-injected on site or hauled off to be re-injected at a central site, or in the West, at times put in open evaporation pits. No fluids were recovered from those wells I showed you up the valley from my home. Now here is an actual fracking going on. And I've gone back to this picture because it gives me the opportunity to introduce the fact that water is not the only life support system at risk in producing natural gas. Air quality is also at risk. Up until 3 years ago, air quality got little attention in the gas fields. Little consideration had been given to the amount of diesel that is burned to produce natural gas. When you add up the exhaust from the labor force's diesel trucks and the corporate trucks and huge machinery needed to extract the gas, the exhaust begins to reach very high levels that contain NOx, nitrogen oxides, as well as volatile organic compounds, for short, called VOCs. When the nitrogen oxide, the NOxes and the VOCs float up into the air in presence of sunlight, they produce what is called ground-level ozone. It is now apparent that stationary and mobile equipment required to produce and deliver natural gas can cause an urban-like smog problem, rich in ozone, and especially in areas of high production. We need ozone in the stratosphere to protect us from the ultraviolet light, but at ground level, it poses a serious threat to all animals, including humans, and plants, including the trees in our forests. 1 molecule of ozone can burn a hole in the deep alveolar tissue in your lungs. It is well documented that daily exposure to ozone leads to early aging of the lungs. They become brittle and dry out. The lungs cannot repair this kind of damage. Every exposure incident builds upon the damage that was already there. Chronic ozone exposure can cause asthma, COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and other pulmonary disorders. Children are especially vulnerable because their lungs continue to grow and enlarge until about age 18. As they mature in the presence of ozone, their alveoli production is reduced, and they end up with brittle lungs like those of an 80-year-old. Ozone was always thought to be only an urban problem caused by the exhaust from gasoline combustion in automobiles, the NOxes, and the volatile organic compounds, or VOCs, from the gasoline fumes. The same VOCs that are released from natural gas operations. We now have in the West an urban air pollution phenomenon that no one suspected would happen. Now, we came upon this fracking operation while we were looking for the tunnel that had been drilled through a mountain to reduce the long trip to a county road. There are already 8 completed wells on this pad, if you look to the left and below the pad. You can see the 8 condensate water holding tanks, or produced water tanks. There are actually 35 green fracking tanks, each about the size of a train car, nested side by side to the left of the pad. 35 more along the back, and zooming in on it at our office, we counted almost 100 tanks on this pad. You can see the white cabs of at least 8 generator and chemical mixing trucks lined up near the hole where all the activity is taking place.
The hills are alive with the sound of music.